Um, Eric's mother did finally pass away. You know, when we were talking about Markham's mother, she was in hospice waiting to pass, I guess you could say. And so they kind of already declared it, but she finally did just pass. I got the text from him, so I know he's kind of hurting right now. And yeah, it's a grieving thing. So it's a tough time for a friend of ours and a really good friend of mine. So if you can, send him your love as much as you can and as often as you can. And so tonight is we're supposed to be talking to Jason, but I don't know. I guess he had a gig he had to go to. He said he was going to be there until midnight, which he's in Massachusetts, I believe. So that would probably either he got held up or something happened, because I'm calling him on the phone and I'm not getting anything. But what we were going to discuss was his methods of his new hermetic system and some of the projects that he's got going on, because I get a lot of messages from people about this stuff, and it seems like a lot of people are confused. You know, they're confused about some of the things that I say, or maybe they're not. I don't know. I would really hate to think somebody looked at me as advanced in any of this stuff. Oh yeah, quick shout out. I want to give a shout out to Destry, Christian, Courtney, Larry, Andy, Joseph, Barbara, Randolph, and Jan. Thank you guys so much. Travis as well. Thank you guys so much for your support. James, you too. All of you guys. I love you very much. Thank you so much. Here's the thing. What do you do, right? So what do you do when this topic of, I guess you could say, consciousness exploration? I don't want people to think that it's all about magic, or I'm just going to talk about magic and that's it, because I guess the reason why I bring it up so much is because it has a lot of the same fundamentals and stuff in it. So when you talk about magic, you get into several different things here, and this is what confuses folks, I think. I'll go down the list: astrology, Kabbalah, tarot, certain types of meditation and focus exercises, ritual magic, alchemy, journeying or astral travel, scrying, pathworking. Did I say geomancy already? Geomancy. Certain Jungian psychology, theurgy, and thaumaturgy. So that's all of that stuff. You could say sigil magic, spell casting maybe, and dare I say cursing, if anybody ever does that stuff. Shame on you. But all of that stuff encapsulates the subject matter. So it's something that when I talk about being effective explorers of consciousness, man, there's some tools out there. Another tool that I think more modern magicians use, and something that shamans have used a long time and have been using for quite a long time, is methods of journeying through plant medicines like ayahuasca, dimethyltryptamine, maybe even mushrooms, possibly peyote. There's all kinds of different things that they use. So what we've got here is methods of exploring consciousness. Now, if we want to look at things from a different way, not such a way that is scary, and I'm just naming them, going down the list here. There's other ways to do it, right? So you've got Thomas Campbell's way, which is more of the Monroe Institute type way, which is, I got to tell you, man, it's super effective. Now, it's not as practical as some of the stuff when we talk about like tarot and astrology, but listening to binaural beats or hemisync, that really works, and using methods of that. The one that works for me, and I'll say it again, because I say it all the time, because I really want you guys to make sure you get the right one. If you go to Audible, and you can go to audibletrial.com/LTV radio. That's right. And if you go to that one, there is an audiobook in there called How to Have an Out-of-Body Experience by William Buellman. And you'll know which one it is because it's like $34. So if you use the trial, you'll get it for free. That is the one that I go to every single time if I'm having troubles trying to do this, if I'm trying to I guess, have an out-of-body experience, and nothing that I try works. No methods of meditation or any other things that I listen to work. That's the one that I use. Which is another reason why I wanted to have Jason on here, because I have some of his programs, and he's a hypnotist, and he talks about these things. So last night we mentioned astrology, and God, that's a tough one, because when you think about it, there's only two thoughts that come to mind when you mention astrology. It's not really a method for exploring consciousness, is it? Not really. But what it is a tool of seeing your individual imprint, who you are, if you use that. I stick to the tropical stuff. It's a super complicated thing, and it's like, could be a lifelong study in itself. Now, Suzanne Ross was on earlier and had a person on that really impressed me. So if you guys want to understand how powerful that is, you can go back and listen to that show, Sci-Spy Radio with Suzanne Ross, and see the power of it. So I don't want to really focus on astrology, but I will say that some of you already are feeling what's going on, and I told you so, right? And it's kind of like weather forecasting. That's all it is. Now, Kabbalah is something, that's a subject that I've tried to talk about on this show a couple times. I find it frustrating talking about this stuff, not because I'm not knowledgeable about it. It's just damn hard to explain. And so the only way that I could talk about Kabbalah, is like a system of maybe finding God, so to speak, maybe understanding the grammar of what's underneath everything from a symbolic and perhaps Judeo-Christian or Jewish background, and it's another complicated subject, another lifelong study. Now, when it comes to the tarot, there's two thoughts to that. Well, how is this an effective method of exploring consciousness? It's not going to make me have an out-of-body experience, right? No, it's not. But you can use the arcana for the tarot, that whole process of initiation that you go through. The hero's journey that we talked about is in the major arcana in the tarot. Magicians also use it for scrying, kind of like a scrying mirror. They'll just focus on it and go into the card and learn everything about it. Meditation is a given. That's something that all of us should be practicing every day. So before I get into this stuff, I guess while we're trying to get a hold of Jason, I don't know what's going on, but before I get into this stuff, what I want to do is continue where we want to go for this year. And don't forget, tomorrow night, if I hadn't mentioned this already on the program, we're going to have Amalia Eon Karis and Satya Ra Priest from Love, Sex, and the Hidden Agenda are going to come on. And that's going to be a pretty fascinating show, because it's not quite what you think. They're going to be on the show tomorrow night. And next week, we're going to have some guests talking about UFOs. So trying to tie this all together, folks. I'm kind of messed up about Eric right now, to be honest with you. Eric's a behind the scenes type guy of this network, and he does so much. I mean, he's pulled through when I've needed him more than anybody has. Anybody. And he's like a gentle giant. And it hurts me to see that he's going through this stuff, because now it's just going to be him and his dad, you know. But I don't know what I can talk about. I don't want to get too personal there. But some of you did verify that some of you are going through struggles, especially financially right now. A lot of businesses are. And I don't know what to tell you except maybe listen to last night's show. I am too. I'm not going to lie to you. I am too. But I feel like that's a test, man. It's a test. It's a character test. And if when you come up against that stuff, you've got to know that. Instead of going into victim mode right away, it's a character test every single time. Doesn't make it easier me saying that, I know. I don't know what we want to talk about tonight, to be honest with you, because I think I've covered a lot of stuff. I want to figure this out, and usually what I usually do is I prep everything out, and I know what I'm going to talk about. But I really want us to discover this together, where we're going to go. And the only way I can do that is by just broadcasting like I usually do, and then get the feedback from you. I don't know how many of you are doing this stuff. Like yesterday, I got a message from somebody about scrying that says maybe you need to be a little bit more sensitive to some people because they don't really have a background that you do, or you don't understand. Well, not scrying, but sigils, excuse me. I'm trying to be more sensitive. I promise you. I know I don't sound like it, but I really am. I'm trying to put myself in everybody's shoes. but it's really hard, to be honest with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get a hold of Jason, I guess. So we're going to just take a short break. And if he doesn't come on, then we'll keep trying him during the breaks. There's no telling what's going on with him. He's a pretty busy guy. But we'll take a short break, guys, and then we'll be right back.
Lighting the Void Radio.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Do you ever wonder why there's so much show in politics? Do you ever wonder why America's not getting fixed? Ever wonder why our media is not reporting the news? They report only their biased opinion. Are you tired of feeling like a controlled rat? Do you wonder what's next? If you're looking for answers, join me, Ronnie McMullen, for my new show, Deep Waters Radio. That's Deep Waters Radio. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific, right here on The Fringe FM.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM. See you then.
Hi, guys. Matt Ray with America's First News. And if you're like me, you're probably still looking for that special Christmas gift for your wife or girlfriend. Treat her to the very best this year. The world's softest pajamas from Pajamagram. Because they are the world's softest pajamas, they're lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny. They're like cashmere, only better, and you'll love the way they look. She'll love the way they feel. The softness, the warmth, the comfort. And if you're like me, you can't stand wrapping presents. It's tough to do. Well, get this. Pajamagram includes free gift packaging. All you have to do is make the order, and delivery is guaranteed by Christmas. Plus, they're backed by a 100% lifetime guarantee. You risk nothing but the look on her face, guys, when she opens the Pajamagram. So go to Pajamagram.com right now. That's Pajamagram.com. Tell them Matt Ray sent you. That's Pajamagram.com. Tell them Matt Ray sent you.
When I'm done running with the wolves after hunting down a half-ton bison, I look forward to a mind-teetering escapade evening on The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shithead.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. And purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Have a great day.
Alex. I was thinking about the cops because I was looking at photos and stuff online. It seems like more and more I'm seeing police with tattoos, and it just, I'm sorry. Can't tell the gangbangers from the cops now. I mean, what if they had them on their face? Now, that would be crazy, because that's where it really originates from. A lot of people don't know that. I know it's a big thing now on, like, rappers, and everybody's doing it. Gang members have them. Everybody's kind of doing it now. Musicians and tattoos on their face, crosses, crucifix, and stuff like that. Crucifixes, that's what's really funny to me, because it's all satanic. All of it. All of it. All of it. Tattoos are straight from hell. Hell sent. Straight from hell. Straight from the bowels of hell. All tattoos. All tattoos. Period. End of story. Oh, you didn't know that? Because they were trying to represent the actual demon gods that they worshipped. Straight from hell. Pure evil. Straight from the bowels of hell from Satan himself.
KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Howdy, this is Catalina, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
Nothing bad has happened to Jason, but then again, I'd like to think that I'm not getting stood up here. But from time to time, that happens as a radio host, and you got to have a backup plan, right? So it's a character test, really. There we go. See, I'm eating my own medicine. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just open the phone lines up, and if you want to talk about some of this stuff, because we've been getting a lot of feedback from previous shows. And I mean, a ton of feedback about that they've enjoyed the conversations that we've had. The 5G stuff, I don't want to go into anymore. Like, I don't want to freak you guys out anymore about it. I don't like scaring people. I don't like talking about conspiracy. I mean, people have been talking about Monsanto and corporations and all this other stuff till you're blue in the face. But I'm not saying that we don't need to be aware of it, because it's coming. But what I do want to talk about is where we go from here, because I really feel like all of this occult and esoteric stuff is cool. It is cool. I mean, to me, magic is cool, man, but it's to some other people, it's evil, right? It's an evil thing to practice. And that's just from people. Let me tell you something. That's just from people that don't understand it. They don't understand it. And I know that sounds like I'm talking out of my butt, but they really don't. They don't understand it. They think it's of the devil and this or that. There's other people that think that, well, they're just not interested in it. They're more interested in aliens, and that's fine. But all roads lead to this thing. It doesn't matter which way you start. What I do have my fears about it, though. And I have went down this road with it a couple of times. It's not like, I don't want you guys thinking I'm some practicing magician doing rituals 3 or 4 times a day. I'm not. It's not. What does scare me about it, what I would like to talk to people about, and I have a few guests in mind that said they were interested in talking to me about this, so, is what's really behind all of this. Because, right, there's a lot of methods to explore consciousness. You don't really have to practice magic to explore consciousness. You don't have to do it to have an out-of-body experience. You're either drawn to it or you're not. And you can actually do just meditation and any of the out-of-body experience stuff to do this. You could also do some shamanic stuff, which I haven't got to do yet, but I'm not going to do by myself, I promise you. But what I'm afraid of is not really afraid, but what I'm hesitant about is all of this stuff, all of the symbolism and magic, like astrology, well, not astrology, but Kabbalah, tarot, geomancy, ritual magic, alchemy. I guess you could say some of the scrying, some of the psychology, and definitely theurgy and thaumaturgy. They use divine names. So you end up using names of God, like Jehovah or Yod-He-Vav-He, and you end up using angelic names for protection, which doesn't sound bad. It doesn't sound bad at all. You could do this stuff the rest of your life. But what happens is you get to where you get down this road and your consciousness is expanded. You're more aware. You might have faced a few demons, but not yet. And then you got to make a choice. So after these magicians, unless you're a chaos magician, then this stuff really don't matter. Or I guess a witch, this stuff probably don't matter. Well, no, witches go through this too. So after you get through the elemental grades where you're trying to round out your nature, then these guys make a choice. They go down this route where they can go through what's called the Goetia, where they study grimoires and they try to invoke or evoke spirits to deal with themselves or to try to manifest things. And I guess it's like a whole nother playground. But what I'm afraid of is what's behind this stuff. Not that I'm going to call Satan and Satan's going to show up and it's really Satan. He's going to damn my soul to hell. But what I'm wondering about is just how effective it is. Is it necessary? Because a lot of people are drawn to it. They really are. In fact, I can tell you for sure that beings like Lucifer, Satan, Leviathan, and I guess Belial, whatever his name is, the four kings of hell, especially Lucifer, is known for manifesting things. And so people will do rituals where they go to crossroads and they invoke Lucifer and they give him some alcohol maybe or some type of gift. If you're smart, you're not going to give your soul over to this thing, whatever it is. And it could be all in your mind. It could be just symbols that we've created on the other side of the underworld that people are using to manifest things. It may not even be real per se, but I have to ask why. There's got to be some other way to do that. And it's not like I'm sitting here judging you or like I'm your daddy, don't do that. That's bad. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. It's just what I'm finding out is certain people get into this for different reasons, I guess. And that's okay. Certain people want just more power in their life, And I get that. They want things. They're tired of having to go to work 40 hours a week or work overtime or do whatever they got to do just to get something extra. They want a break. And when somebody tells them this stuff works, I mean, who am I to judge them and say, well, nope, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't call upon spirits to give you things or make deals with spirits because, I mean, there's countless rock stars that have admitted it and they just smile about it. Countless actors that have admitted it. And people think, oh, they're just joking. They can't be, man. Not all of them's talking about it. They can't be joking. I have not found one single magical ritual that involves angels where they just manifest money or cars for you or anything like that. It doesn't really work that way. So some people get into it for that. They want more power and they want to be able to manifest stuff in their life. Some people get into it for power alone. They want to be able to have an edge over everybody else. So they can manifest what they want. Sounds cool, right? And they can kill you if they want to kill you, and there are rituals or I guess you could say spells that do that kind of stuff. And then there's other people that get into it to meet their higher selves because they don't like sitting around meditating all day. So when they get into which is kind of what I was interested in. And they get into using symbolism and going through this stuff that it opens up their consciousness. But regardless, God, I hate to say this. I really do. You are going to run into things that are going to scare you. I mean, it's just a fact. And you have to ask yourself, what are those things? And what is the nature of fear? In that sense of the word, right? So, like if I go walking in the woods and I hear a bear growl and my heart speeds up and I get full of adrenaline, that's natural fear. That's something I think is healthy. But if I'm going into altered states of consciousness you don't really have to do magic. I've done this without magic, or having an out of body experience, and you run into an entity that you just don't want to see, that looks freaky. And your heart speeds up and you get afraid again. Is that fear that's natural that you're supposed to run from? Or is that something that you're supposed to conquer? Or that you don't really have to, but you could conquer it and move on? The biggest messages I get from people they have to do about religion. Mainly. I get a lot of, I guess you could say, hate mail from religious folks because they think that I'm pushing some type of movement. I don't ever talk about that stuff, man. I don't talk about how it's bad, but I get hate mail because they think I'm pushing some type of magical movement. And what I really am trying to do, because I've learned that this stuff is here, and some of you already know, like over on Spreaker, I know Crow knows about this stuff. I know Sammy probably does, and I doubt Kurt does, but Moon probably does, Jan probably does, Don. So people know about things like synchronicity. They know things about like deja vu. They know that there's something there. They also know that they're living a magical life. Some of them, I know Sammy put out some YouTube videos talking about that. But if I told you guys to go down this road headstrong, I would be lying to you if I told you that I was confident that this is what you should do. Right. Joseph K. says, what do you do when you come to a point that you need to slit the cat's throat? Right. So that's the thing. Everything in this, it seemed cool. And I'm going to tell you, the Golden Dawn method of magic, I haven't found, as far as that outer order, I haven't found anything really wrong with it, especially because the thing about these guys is just kind of like Freemasonry. You could be a Christian, you could be a Jew, you could be a Muslim. It didn't really matter. It was supposed to be something separate. Supposed to be something that you studied outside. You didn't have to kill your faith. And this was to come in contact with your holy guardian angel, which is a whole other show. I think we did a show about that, where some people believe it's your higher self. Others believe it's a separate angel that you contact. Now, after last night, I wonder if some of you went and looked at that ritual, that Abramelin and the Mage ritual that had all the names of the spirits in it. This wasn't, I need you to understand something about this. This is like serious stuff, man. This wasn't done by some kid, just pulling names out of a hat. This was done by Samuel L. McGregor Mathers, who God knows where he got all this information from. And these rituals, it would take you days to do. You had to go through countless things in altered states of consciousness to get things to bleed through or to meet your angel. And this is also what Aleister Crowley did. Usually what you hear is Aleister Crowley went up to this house in Boleskine or wherever it was, and he left a bunch of demons there. No, what he was trying to do was that Abramelin the Mage ritual, and he was trying to contact his holy guardian angel. And the rumor is that he didn't finish the ritual, and this is not a ritual. That's why I wanted you guys to watch that movie, A Dark Song, so you could see it, that Destry Show talked to me about. Because this isn't a ritual that you can just stop halfway. You can't. It screws up your consciousness. So here again, I say, when it comes to magic, I'll tell you what I think is safe. 100% safe? Because I know some of you are worried about that. I'm going to just go down the list here. Astrology is safe. Astrology is it's 100% safe. In fact, a lot of the ancient mages were just astrologers. That's it. They just studied charts. Kind of like Nostradamus. People think he did more than that. I don't. I think he was just a real good astrologer. And it is super complex. It's not like the stuff you read in the paper. You can get real specific with it. I believe Kabbalah is safe for understanding the natures of our psyche, like the four worlds and all of that. All the Sephiroth, all the paths, all of that. I believe that's safe. 100%. Now, I'm just being honest with you here because I know some of you magicians are listening going, oh, he's going to say grimoire stuff's not safe. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about my audience, the messages that I get. Meditation, absolutely safe. Geomancy, tarot, runes, and all that stuff that you're using to divine the future with, not going to hurt you. Sorry to tell you, it's not going to hurt you. Journeying or astral travel, not going to hurt you. Not at all, unless some people just leave in their sleep. And how would we know if that's what happens? We really don't know. Because if they die in their sleep, we don't really know what happens. But from my experience, and like Preston Dennett said, not really dangerous. Scrying. Now, I know some of you don't know what that is. And it's kind of Harry Potter-ish, right? But it's not. That stuff with, the crystal balls and the dark mirror and all that. That stuff is a different form of vision. And I don't know enough about it yet to do a show or anything about it. And I don't know enough about it yet to say that it's safe for you. And these are just my opinion because I know some of you are worried about safety. Path working. So path working is pretty much like what I do when I do path working stuff is I'm always listening to somebody like, Jason Newcomb or somebody that's leading me through the paths on the trees. So I'll have my headphones in and it's like a visual meditation through symbols. It's guided. But believe it or not, the one thing out of all this, the two things that I think, actually there's three things that I think that we should go real slow with. I believe you should. Is number one is psychology. So in the Golden Dawn, they would require you because you were going to do all this stuff and open up all these different aspects of your psyche, and you had this danger of becoming I guess it's called megalomania, where you start to see that magic works in your life, and then you get this big ego about yourself. The problem is if you don't find the right psychologist, they wanted you to go to, it was required to you in some of these orders that you went and saw a psychologist. The problem is if you go to a psychologist, I don't think some of these cats know what they're doing. So be careful with some of these. I've heard some horror stories with some psychologists, but they wanted you to study psychology under somebody that understood it from a Carl Jung point, right? So that was what Israel Gardy said. Now, theurgy and thaumaturgy, or let's just say theurgy or ritual magic. The Golden Dawn elemental systems or any elemental systems that you're just going through the elements, I found this pretty safe. Even planetary stuff, when you're working with planetary energies, pretty safe, right? But after you get through with that, then there's Goetia, where you get into grimoires and stuff. And these things were written by, I guess you could say, trial and error from some of the most intelligent people that tried this stuff, including Mathers. And when you look into these books, they're all manuscripts. In other words, they're written in hand. And say 4 or 5 different people would write something about the Key of Solomon. And it's all, you got to wade through all this bull crap because it's everybody's different interpretation. So it's kind of like the books of the New Testament, but these people are writing their version of this magic ritual. I don't know that that's safe. But what I will say is I've talked to a lot of magicians that have done this stuff, and they seem to have pretty decent lives. remember, all of these things that I'm talking about have nothing to do with UFOs or aliens or anything like that. This stuff that I'm talking about now is pure just magic, what we talk about when we say magic. Alchemy. Alchemy from a Jungian psychological standpoint, I think is pretty safe. But then this is the one, there's a big mystery here. And I've asked questions about this to everybody, and I get different answers every time, because I believe alchemy is one of the biggest mysteries on the planet right now. Probably one of the biggest kept secrets, and people think they understand it because they've studied a little bit about it and they think they get the whole concept. But if you ask them, you say, well, how come some alchemists actually have a laboratory set where they're messing around with different minerals and chemicals and stuff? And some of them say it's a psychological process, and even others say it's a hermetic thing where you're actually changing your energetic body into a solar body so you can travel the star systems. So there's 3 different forms of alchemy I've been taught. This is all of this, again, is to let you guys know where I stand with this. What I've been told is that alchemy, the hidden and secret stuff about this, is dangerous. And in my experience, I've known 4 people that were practicing this stuff with physical, like laboratory equipment, and they're all not with us right now. They're not here anymore. So I don't know what the hell happened. I wish I could tell you, but I don't. So we need to make sure that, again, why am I doing this? Because I'm afraid that people are just going to dive in. I don't want people to do these things because I'm talking about it, because they think, well, Joe's talking about it, it's cool, I'm going to jump right into it, and the next thing you know, they have some type of psychological breakdown, because I've seen that's actually happened, and it's not pretty. Do I know much about Santeria? Not really. I heard about it. Do I know much about hoodoo? Not really. Voodoo, I know a few things about it, but not much. But what I do know is that I was brought up Christian, Southern Baptist, and I've been around all different types of religious people. And I do know that all of the texts are contradictive. All of the gods and these things seem a little wild, except for maybe Buddhist, And you always have to understand things from not a literal point of view, so you can get the spiritual meaning of a lot of things. But that's not what you're taught, right? When you're young, you're not taught the metaphors, and at least not in the Western world. And I know that a lot of people, there's been more deaths caused by religion than anything. And when Christ made that comment in one of his Gospels about that scribes and Pharisees were the harbingers of hell, that really got to me, right? So it's like, it really got to me, because what are scribes and Pharisees? Well, we're talking about preachers and people that write religious laws and put them in books. And they're the harbingers of hell. They're the people that's causing hell on earth. So what is religion then, if not just a doorway to the mysteries? Because if it's not that, then it's something bad. I know the Vatican has a lot of secrets that I found out through different interviews and through my own studies. I believe they even have their own Rosicrucian order. They even have, okay, so here's the thing about the Vatican. They understand that astrology is real, but they'll never talk about it. They're not going to preach that stuff. And I don't know, man. They have orders inside their little priesthood where they do things. Pretty freaky stuff. I don't want to think Jason's trying to. No, that's not Jason. But I don't want to be responsible for this, because I've had this happen to a friend of mine who probably still kind of blames me for this in some kind of way, where they I mentioned that they were practicing Reiki, but I don't think Reiki really had much to do with it. I think they might have touched into something they weren't supposed to. I don't know. And they had a very bad breakdown, and it kind of scarred them for life, Not really like they're messed up or because they're not mentally messed up at all. They'll never look at this as a good thing ever again, or something that they can explore their consciousness with. Now, if there's chaos magicians out there that are laughing and saying, well, you just need to learn more, you just need to study more, you just need to, well, you'll figure it out. I know the truth. When you get there, you'll figure it all out, and then you'll know. Well, I'll tell you this. I've had some of the best so-called magicians that are alive today on the show. Some of them are chaos magicians, and when I asked them if magic was dangerous, they said absolutely yes. So I say again, it's not for everybody. There's risks involved. But I just wanted to go over what I thought was safe. But it's kind of like, if you get involved with this stuff, you're eventually going to go on you're going to get curious about the other stuff. But what I think most of us need to do that are if you're listening to the show, I know you're not here for conspiracy or phantasma, so thank you. But what I think most of us need to do is to find the reality of all this through exploring consciousness. We've got to do it. God, I'm tired of even saying that word, consciousness. I wish they'd come up with another word for it. Getting old, right? And the best way that I know how to do that is without using any of this stuff is what Robert Monroe did. The thing that he didn't understand is like what Thomas Campbell talks about, that Robert Monroe thought that he was actually leaving his body. In other words, when he left his body, he came out of his body and he would go, let's say he went to, Paducah, Kentucky, that his consciousness or his astral body was really in Paducah, Kentucky, and that he left his physical body back at his house. And he really thought that it was there. But the way Thomas Campbell explained it is it's all a ball of consciousness anyway. So it's not really what he thought. And there's 3 long books of very meticulous information in there that you'd have to go through to understand all of that. But I think Thomas Campbell is closer to anybody because he understands that, you can use these things if you know what they really are. So he's the kind of guy that could go into the realms and meet shadow beings and black beings and just super horrid looking things that have actually scared the hell out of people like me and you. And he could just go right through it like it wasn't anything. And he's seen all kinds of cool things. And that's what intrigues me. Another thing that intrigues me is that really, really, I think is the coolest thing is that people do these things together. Right? Not just by yourself, you and Joe Bob and your girlfriend or whoever you're with or your buddies, they really start practicing this stuff and they go on journeys together and they remember where they went. So imagine taking 2 or 3 of your best buddies to the dark side of the moon and you all come back and you remember everything about it. I think when I heard that, that's what hooked me more than anything. And you don't have to practice magic to get there. A part of me wants to hurry up and just jump right into this stuff and not really care about what happens to me, so I can tell you and just deliver, okay, this was my experience. This is what happened. This is safe and this isn't. A part of me wants to do that, but I know better than that. I'm impatient. It's in my nature. It's actually in my chart. I've got a book, actually 3 books right here that talk about doing crossroads rituals, so I can tell you it's real. About calling upon Lucifer to manifest something in your life. There's other people that have said that it works. I even told a friend of mine, I said, look, I'm half tempted to try this just to see what happens, just so I can report what happens. And I'll be honest with you, I almost did it. But not for the sake of power or the sake of, I guess, damn sure not the sake of being above anybody, but for the sake of seeing if it was real, seeing it, because this other stuff, and this is the real character test, this other stuff, like the Rosicrucian side of things, this Golden Dawn magic, the angelic stuff, it's not fast, it's not immediate. It doesn't, you pray till the cows come home. But you're not going to manifest a whole bunch of money with angels, and or a car, or get out of your house, or help your love life. And I struggle with these things sometimes. But I didn't do it. I know you're, well, did you do it? No, hell no, I didn't do it. I didn't. I don't want to say not yet. But I think what I would rather do is explore things like that are might be dangerous, but I don't think is based on my research. I think I'd rather maybe try dimethyltryptamine. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try it. Maybe, this is kind of dangerous. Well, not dangerous, but I might try it on the show. I just don't want to do it by myself. Isn't that something that I would rather take a hallucinogen than call upon Lucifer to see if something's there? So we got some projects that we're going to do this year. It's not all just going to be about, you listening to the show on the radio. We're going to set some goals. We're going to do things. I just got to figure out what that is so we know, so we can move on. Because I know some of you want to astral travel together. Because I might not be so freaked out when I see those, shadow beings or whatever the hell that clown looking thing was that I saw that one time. If maybe a buddy or two was with me, they're like, oh, man, just ignore it. Let's go. That sounds pretty cool. So I think this year that's what we're going to do. We're going to do some more practical type stuff. And we're going to, whoever is interested in that, let me know. I mean, and if you're interested in trying to do this, let me know. And I don't mean, because I do this all the time. I'm not playing. I do this all the time. I ask if people are interested in this. Like, yeah, man, I want to do that. Let's do this. And then I try a couple things with a few people, and they just don't pan out. They don't show up. They try it once or twice and they're done. And there's a lot of other groups out there that can teach you this stuff and take you there. I'm just talking about us, our little group here at Lighting the Void. Anyways, I want to see if this phone call is Jason. And if not, then we'll just keep on trucking. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. Don't forget you can support the show by donating. You can always text in the show or email the show at contact@lightingthevoid.com. Tonight, I guess we're going to talk. We're just open up the lines if you want to call or text in. And we're also going to talk about being effective explorers of consciousness and what we're going to do this year. And we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
All right, everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Light in the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Your home has needs. It needs a healthy, dry environment all year round. Start by getting rid of the worst air in the basement and crawl space, where the problems begin and make the whole house sick. Introducing the new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. It has advanced technologies to continuously reduce moisture, mold, and odors, and expel radon, gases, and pollutants. And now, Wave units include carbon monoxide detection to automatically expel air at a high rate and send you an alert. It also has an app so you can remotely monitor the conditions. Wave is a comprehensive, maintenance-free, affordable solution that will transform your entire home. Protect your home and family with what it needs. Give it a new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. For more information, call 888-717-WAVE. That's 888-717-WAVE. Or go to dryhealthyhome.com. That's dryhealthyhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Greetings, galactic community. This is Suzanne Ross, host of Sci-Spy Radio, every Wednesday evening from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific. Join me for this brand new show featuring a revolutionary new genre, Sci-Spy, merging science and spirituality to give us answers to the greatest mysteries of creation. Together, scientific discovery and spiritual revelation reveal the truth about who we are, where we came from, why we're here, and where we're going. Tune in to Sci-Spy Radio every Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific and discover the truth for yourself at thefringe.fm.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio. Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM. The Fringe FM loves hearing from you. Have a suggestion, comment, or question? We're all ears. Email talkback@thefringe.fm. Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Steve.
This is a serious undertaking. It's not fucking astral projection or runes. This is real stuff we're playing with. Real angels, real demons.
I know this.
You read cunts on the internet saying it's just mental states, that you're guardian angels, your higher self. Psychobabble bollocks. So you'll go for days without sleep, fasting, back-breaking rites, ritual sex. You'll be at the very edge. You ready for all that, darling?
I am. I've read up on the Kabbalah.
You don't think this is a tree of Sephiroth, because it's not? You've been looking shit up on the internet. No, Root, this is Gnosticism.
I was told it was based on the Kabbalah.
It's there as grammar, a structure. The Kabbalah's an exploration of God. We're doing something much darker.
So that is a clip from a dark song. So, yeah, so if you haven't watched that, you need to see it. And that's what kind of freaked me out. And he said, you know, real angels, real demons. You know, you've been looking up crap on the internet. We're doing something much darker here. And yeah, I know it's a movie, but it did get me thinking. It got me thinking about some of the stuff that, you know, some of the stuff that is involved with these things. But I ask this, though, what can we really learn about ourselves without doing without facing your fears? I mean, what are you willing to do, right? So what I mean by that is you want to be able to do these things, like, let's just say astral travel to the moon or whatever. I think the first thing you need to ask yourself is how far are you willing to go to be able to do something like that? And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about sacrificing an animal, but we all have a level of fear that we can tolerate. You know what I'm talking about. Some of you want to play tough. I know. You want to be tough. Oh, nothing scares me. But everyone here has things that bother you, things that you're afraid of. Then there's a higher level of fear that you can tolerate, maybe push past. And then there's things that are, trying to find the word for it, horrifying, that put you in absolute horror. And if you're alive, and I guess if you're on this planet, you've seen that, you felt it at least once in your life. Would you be willing to go back to that place, knowing that whatever you're about to face is something that you have to get over, but it's not real on a physical level, that it can't hurt you, but you're still going to have to feel that type of horror? And will you be able to get through it? I got to be honest with you. If I'm 100% honest with you, I don't know. I don't know, because every time I've been tested on something like that in my life, I haven't pushed through it. Even the stupid little black beings that pushed me back in my body, I was trying to fight them. It was like a battle or a war. There's a part in Robert Monroe's book where he's not practicing magic. He's just doing astral travel, right? He pushed through this. An old man. And I hope I'm not insulting Robert Monroe, because I don't mean to, but an old man, you know, encountered beings in the astral realm that would attach themselves to him. And the more he fought them, the tighter their grip. And he also, there was 2 different fights in that book that he talked about that it sounded extremely horrifying. But he kept going back. Without a doubt. I mean, he talked about he was crying, praying to Jesus. He wasn't particularly religious. But it is kind of funny that even the people that don't believe in God, when they get in those types of situations, that they will cry out to God. Now, that's a good point that Joseph K. brings up. He says the abyss, dot, the guardians on the threshold. Yeah. So in the beginning of these rituals like this, the neophyte rituals or whatever, in your initiation or whatever you go through, if you're going through a real mystery school, the first thing that most of them will teach you is about fear. They want you to understand it. They don't want you to run from everything. In fact, I would say the Golden Dawn would tell you, fear is, what did they say in that ritual? Fear is failure. Fear is failure and the forerunner of failure. That's pretty heavy, man, because we think about fear like, no, I don't want to go skydiving or I don't want to exercise. I don't think they're talking about that kind of fear. I think you have to go through that stuff alone. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that you have to go through that alone. Even if you manage to get round up a few of your buddies and astral travel to whatever, I think you're going to have to face that alone. Whatever the hell these things are, whether they're just doing their job or they're actually evil per se, they do guard something. They're guarding a barrier, maybe the veil, so to speak. So I think a lot of times we talk in circles. So you can listen to talk radio all you want for the rest of your life. You could listen to conspiracy podcasts and shows about 9/11 and shows about Monsanto and blue beings and all of this stuff to, I guess, because it entices your mind. But a part of you wants to experience it. And I think what holds us back from experiencing these things, and what I'm starting to learn, and what it makes me anxious even talking about it, because I know I'm going to have to do it, is facing this type of fear, this horror level of fear, these things that scare you. They all did it, man. I mean, it's not just the magicians. They all did it. Even the serious astral travelers of the Monroe Institute, William Buellman, Thomas Campbell, Robert Monroe, the ones that I know, they all did it. They all faced these things. And when they broke through, they went to this other place, or other, I guess you could say, other realms or whatever. I don't know that I'm ready to do that. I'm 30, I'm about to be 37. And every time I've been tested on that level, I haven't passed. I mean, it's just like think about it for a split second. The most horrifying things. And they weren't even across the room this one time. I mean, the one time that it happened to me, the time that I got caught in that, what was that? What did they call that? False awakening, right? The time that I got caught in that false awakening where I kept waking up thinking I was awake and checked my phone and it would go out. And then I'd try to wake myself up again, check my phone, it would go out, kept waking up, trying to wake up. And finally, I did it. I woke up. And as soon as I opened my eyes, I'm like, finally, I'm awake. I wasn't awake, and this damn thing was 4 inches from my face just looking at me. Now, how in the hell am I supposed to pass that? Especially when whatever the hell this thing was, whether it was my consciousness or whatever, I don't know. How am I supposed to pass that after I went through? It felt like hours of trying to wake up. I felt trapped. And then when I finally thought I was awake, this some bitch is 4 inches from my face and with this horrifying look. How do you get past that? I'd like to know. Because I think some of you aren't telling the truth when you say, well, you just got to protect yourself with a ball of light and, visualize unicorns and rainbows. I don't know. I don't think some of you would. I don't think you would pass it. Now, I'm not trying to put you down because I'm really talking about me, whatever I went through, you know. But I think we have to. In a rough voice. See, that's weird. Jan says, I told it to leave in a rough voice and it left. Okay. I had the same thing happen, man. When I tried to, this is what I said when these things, this is a different situation. But when these things pushed me back in my body, I said, I command you to release me by light and life. I don't even know where the hell that came from. Maybe it was something I read, but that's what I said. I command to be released by light and life. And when I said it, I sounded like James Earl Jones. It was really deep. And I was thinking, damn, what the hell? And I didn't really get released. I just woke up, but I was thinking that wasn't my voice. Who the hell was that? And so there's like this part of yourself too that'll freak you out. And when you get in these realms, things work on a different time level. They happen too damn fast, and they happen so powerful that it's hard to control. Like, you know, you could get angry, and this is going to be hard to explain, but try to stay with me here on this. You could get angry in this realm and hold it in. You know, like you get in an argument with your girlfriend and you walk around the house, or your boyfriend or your parents, or whoever it is, and you feel like breaking stuff. You're so mad or whatever, but you know that if you leave, you can walk it off, and you take a few deep breaths, you know, and you work it out. If you get angry in the astral realm and you yell or do anything crazy, stuff happens. You'll hear a voice come out of you that you've never heard before. You'll see things move. It's weird. And when I had this, that one ethereal, I guess you could say ethereal projection or whatever, when I could see my body, when I had that happen, it felt like I was walking through water, but I felt like, you know how you feel when you're in water? That's how I felt. Not like I don't know as far as weight goes, but I moved faster. I could fly if I wanted to. I just couldn't go very far. And if you want to explore, it's so damn hard, because all you have to do is, if you even think about your body, you'll go back to it. Hold on a second. That was weird. I just had these little goosebumps pop up on my arm. It was weird. Anyways, so we don't have to do this. We don't have to do magic or anything to get to this point. But I think the reason why we don't know a lot of things, we talk about these government cabals or whatever that are hiding things from us. So we don't know the truth, and they're all doing this crap, you know, like there's some grand poopah cabal wizards in some tower somewhere making deals with reptilians and keeping us all stupid. But what I think is really going on is every time in our lives, whether we're on this realm or the inner realm, when we face true fear or true horror, we don't step across it. We don't push through it. It could be wrong. There was another clip I wanted to play through that, but I'll have to do it later. And then there's this approach where you don't even have to do that stuff. There's this approach from disucss, where he explains the nature of elementals and demons and all that, but he doesn't really go down that road. He talks about your etheric double and your guardian angel. He says this: at the point of your first incarnation, the very first one. Remember that this guy was a teacher of even the Theosophical Society. He was one of their hidden gurus. At the point of our first incarnation, upon passing through the human idea, the self-aware soul is protected and guided throughout its long sojourn into the worlds of separation by an archangel. And this archangel, our faithful companion, is from the archangels of the thrones. So you do have something there looking out for you. Whether it's, I just don't know. See, people say, well, it's your higher self. I don't really know that it is. But I know it's looking out for you. Astral travel in the etheric, he has a whole different word for it. He calls it exomatosis, which is the literal Greek equivalent of the English expression of the out-of-body experience. We all leave our bodies each night during sleep and travel to other planes subconsciously. But the aim, however, is to live consciously while out of our bodies. We know of first, second, and third exomatosis. So you see that? How he says we know of? So even this guy who's a master is telling you from experience, we know of first, second, and third levels of exomatosis. He's not saying that there isn't more than that. This is what he knows. He also says that when they talk about our daily bread, I guess, in the text, what he's really saying is it's what's something called etheric vitality. Our daily bread, etheric vitality, which is the mind. It's obtained through breathing, meditation, eating, and rest. We swim in a sea of etheric vitality, which surrounds and permeates the globe. Yet, through disharmonious lifestyles, and he's talking about us, most of us exhaust our portion of etheric vitality and are unable to restore it, leading to physical and psychic distress. All existence, including our bodies, is constructed within a mold of ether, or the etheric double. We speak of 4 conditions of ether: creative, sensate, imprint, and kinetic. So here's a Christian mystic talking about even Eastern stuff. Centers of energy and activity. In Sanskrit, they call them the chakras, that are located at various points on the etheric doubles of our bodies. And each of these 3 bodies, from the gross material to the more refined, display 3 centers, which correspond to organs of the material body. And we have to be really careful when we exercise care in these centers, because while it's necessary for all of us to awaken these things inside of us, some of this stuff is in the domain of the Holy Spirit or the archangels or the Logos, which is, he's given an example like the root of the heart centers, and we should refrain from any manipulation of direct interference. I don't know if any of you got this book, but I want you to just hear what I'm saying here about this. If you're into like getting into trying to figure out esoteric or occult truths. Now, I'm not saying this guy's God or he's the ultimate purveyor of truth. That's not what I'm saying. But I've read Israel Regardie's Golden Dawn, which is Rosicrucian magic stuff, and I've read Theosophical stuff. Some of those guys get some of their stuff from Theosophy. I'm just going down the chain here. And they all talk about hidden masters or hidden gurus, and this was one of them. But nowhere in here, and maybe it's for the sake of protection, which I'd like to think so. Maybe it's for the sake of protection. Nowhere in here does he talk about invoking demons or invoking Lucifer or anything like that. And again, when I say that, please don't think I'm judging you for doing it, because I'm not. Maybe you understand it more than I do. But he just doesn't talk about those things. He does bring up demons and elementals and, doesn't really talk about them like it's stay the hell away from them and blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't really get into that. And I hate to put Daniel Joseph up front here, but when we're trying to figure out truth, damn it, I got to. So Daniel Joseph was a direct student of Daskalos and If you get his book, Swimming with the Whale, you'll see that, man, he learned a lot. And the first time I had him on the show, I asked him about beings from other planets and other realms, aliens pretty much. I asked him about that. And just me saying or talking about it right now is probably not something he wants to do or wants me to do. But he did say yes. And he did say that it's not really something he wanted to talk about. I think that's the most hidden thing from us. What's really behind all of this stuff. Where these teachings come from. And the only other book that I've ever found it in was Manly P. Hall's book, what the wisdom expects from its disciples, where he talks about it. Now, this is not me talking about Zachariah Stitchin or that whole story. Although it may correspond, that's not what I'm talking about. There were things about that book that didn't really add up, and I don't want to go down that road, but I mean, it was a good book. I'm sure there were some truths in it, but it doesn't really help us explore the conscious realms like we want to. I wish somebody come up with a different word for consciousness. I'm getting tired of saying it. Over on Spreaker, Open Think Podcast wants to know, what book is Joe talking about? It's called The Esoteric Teachings by Dr. Stylianos Ateshlis. What you could do is, if you want to figure out who this guy was, is just go to YouTube and put in the word Daskalos or Daniel Joseph, which was his student, and you'll see it. If you really want to find out who I'm talking about. And if I have to, and I have to be perfectly honest with you, where I got that information from was from Jeff Harmon. Was one of the first astrologers that I ever talked to. He also talked about angelic magic squares. He talked a little bit about magic, but warned against it. I'd like to have him back on too, to kind of hopefully maybe can validate some of this stuff that I've been talking about with astrology. I'm going to try this one more time just for the sake of trying, and then we're going to move on. I'm Joe Roop. Don't forget, if you guys want to sign up to the newsletter, we do send out a newsletter every month or bi-monthly, I guess. It depends on when it comes out, and I try to give away cool free books. Like last time, I gave 4 or 5 books out. All you got to do is go to Lighting the Void and put your name and email in there, and it's a free newsletter. We're live on the Fringe FM. Stay with us.
Let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, You know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at naturesyouth.com. naturesyouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com.
Magic, the occult, history, health, news. These are just a few subjects discussed on my radio broadcast, The Secret Teachings. I offer unique and objective perspectives on new and old subjects alike, while welcoming guests and presenting my own research with no filter. Visit my website for more information and to subscribe to my archive at www.thesecretteachings.info, and find me on The Fringe FM live Monday through Friday, midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM.
Hi, this is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on The Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find us on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWERSAVE to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, we will include our #1 rated appetite suppressant spray free with your order. Whatever your diet plans are, start with us at faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWERSAVE.
Yo-hoy there. Gigi here.
And I'm Cortana, and we're going to bring you on a journey through all things paranormal, metaphysical, ufology, and even psychedelic on our show,
Shift Happens, live, Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific. That's 10 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM.
And remember, kids, don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead.
Duck up.
What do you ask? Does the question bother you? It's actually a bit of an ontological issue.
You know what I mean.
I would say no. We're not trying to hurt anyone, but we're doing dark things.
And would you do black magic?
There's no point in going to the fairground if you don't go on any of the rides.
Have you seen much?
I've seen things. I've seen gods, demons. I've had gods rain silver on me. And the dead and the damned. Most of us are damned, you know.
Have you seen anything that scared you?
It all scares me.
Is that the point?
No, the point is to know. To fucking know. And to see the architecture and the levers to climb the mountain.
Power.
knowledge. Just fucking stop this. Time for bed.
Yeah. So what are you willing to do to know? That's the big question. And thank God Dan the man is here. How you feeling, Dan? Thanks for joining us, by the way. It's good to hear your voice again, brother.
Thank you for having me, Joe. What's going on, everyone?
So we're talking about the guardians, facing your fears and these guardians that are there. Not really. I don't know why the hell I'm calling them guardians, because that kind of, I guess, inclines that they're good things, right? But maybe they're just doing their job. But there's something there that tests you and scares the hell out of you every time. You know what I mean? There's something there.
Well, it's been said that many people who do get into contact with such beings are usually brought to their knees just out of awe. It isn't even, it's not like fear. It's not like, anything like that. It's just sheer awe, because the presence is so overwhelming that it literally does. It shakes you to your core. So it can be confusing, if you're not used to it and you come up against one of these. That's why, you always ask for protection when you're going out and about. It doesn't make the event any easier, but it does filter a lot of the lower level from the upper level. So it doesn't stop. Nothing is like foolproof to keep you from getting hit by something that's benevolent or malevolent, pardon me. Mm-hmm. But usually the guardians, as you were calling them, or angels or whatever, higher spirits, they can be very extremely intimidating. So to the point where you're speechless. You don't know how to react. You don't know how to respond.
So have you had personal experience with this?
I had, there was a time when I was going through meditation after I got out of the Association for Research and Enlightenment, the Edgar Casey thing. I got out of I came back from a conference over there, and for about 2 years, about 2.5 years, I was doing, of course, you get on the kick, just like a lot of these In Search for God groups and everything like that. They get on the kick, so they want to do the same thing. They all want to reach that chamber of, Hall of Records and everything like that. So he had explained how to get there. And so I was meditating for a long time and decided one day that I was just going to try to go for it. And I tried as best as I could to follow the path that he had explained in one of the books. And as I was traveling, it felt like I was traveling, just going up or out. I hit a spot, and the spot, you ever feel like you're between states like that when you're in that hypnagogic state, and all of a sudden you can feel your heart pounding, but it's pounding, but your whole body is rocking like back and forth, like you're in a storm.
How come when I wake up though my heart's not pounding? Sometimes it'll be going, in the dream.
Because you're so sensitive to in that state, you're so sensitive to everything. This is why you feel like you're walking through water and everything like that, because you're so sensitive to the physicalness of your earthly self that it transpires into your ethereal self. So it amplifies. So you get to feel everything. So sure. So as I was going up and trying to go through, I got hit with this wall, and it just seemed like demon after demon after demon. I couldn't even say that it was demon, because it was just dark and it was not nice. Figures and faces and just skulls and stuff like that just coming at me, just like, it's like raining, just like raining down on me. And I didn't know how to.
Was this stuff in your paradigm? Like, you know what I mean? Like, was this stuff that you'd already had seen or
no?
So this is brand new, right? It's not something that came out of your consciousness, maybe, or your subconscious.
Maybe, because the only thing that I knew of that state was there is a spot that he says that you pass through the sea of souls in order to get to the next spot, right? So I was not anticipating what I had come up against. So when that happened, I went through it as much as I could, and I just kept praying, I just kept praying. In my fear and trembling, I have faith. In my fear and trembling, I have faith, and and just keep going, because so far they haven't eaten me, they haven't ripped my face apart, but it's a long trek, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't get out the other side. I wound up coming out of it.
So you didn't have? Oh man.
I didn't hit the hall of records, no.
Here's the thing. When I was talking about facing real fear, like your horror type fear, that's what you went through. You did feel that, right? Like,
oh yeah, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. I hadn't experienced anything that dark since I was 9 watching The Exorcist.
Yeah, see, that's scary to me, man. Like I'm thinking, I'm willing to go there. It's just I'm kind of a wuss, right? So I'd rather be somebody in the room, like sitting in the chair, like I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of the studio, but on the other side of the studio, there's a couch that goes right along the rack equipment and everything. And I lay on that couch. That's my place to where I try to lift off. And there's a chair right over there, almost like you would if you walked into a psychologist's office, the chair and the couch. And I would rather have somebody there, but it seems like, awake watching me or whatever. But it seems like when these things happen, you're going to face this alone. There's nothing you can do about it. No one's going to go through this with you,
Yeah, most definitely. That's usually how it happens. What the funny thing is that I found was, and I don't know if anybody can attest to this, but I found that the times when you have like the most faith in that realm are like the times you don't even mean to. You don't even have any anticipation of going up against anything or whatever, or being threatened or whatever. You're just going in, or you're just having the dream or whatever. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like you were saying, the words just came out of you, and you don't know where they came from. And you sounded like Darth Vader or whatever,
Yeah,
and
you're right.
And so, these things, you have no anticipation of having something like this happen, but all of a sudden, from within, you have some inner reserve that actually comes out. Now, and a lot of times when we have these feelings, at least for me, if I feel like I'm going to go in and I don't know what I'm going to be up against or whatever, or it's just one of those, it's a tumultuous time in life, and, and nightmares have been plaguing me. So I just go in praying and I go to sleep. So it's in those times that it's a flip of a coin, that whether I will be able to, stand up to whatever comes at me, or just wake up instantly because I'll be like, holy crap, what the hell was that?
So here's where I get real interested in this. That I've been studying under some chaos magicians like Gordon and stuff, right? That I've been doing that.
Sure.
And they talk about Gordon specifically, which I find this guy's knowledge is amazing when it comes to magic, and not just magic, but things like journeying and the out-of-body experience and stuff. I always thought that astral travel and the out-of-body experience was a separate thing from dreaming, right? I've always thought that. And I can't explain it the way he did, but he has this kind of chart or graph that he shows, in his premium site. And I don't want to give it away because I think that would be wrong. I don't know. I'd have to ask him if I could do that or try to bring him back on the show. But they don't really look at this place like it is separate. You know, like you and I think that when we, or at least I do, I think, okay, I have a dream. That's a dream. I have an ethereal out-of-body experience where I can see myself sleeping and I can go to other places. That is, and I guess, an etherical projection. And then I have things like what you're talking about in the hypnagogic states. Well, the way that he explained this was it's not really the same thing. I don't want people to get the wrong idea, but it's all different states of consciousness, kind of like what Carl Jung teaches. I don't know if you've ever read the Red Book, but geez, man, that'll freak you out a little bit. But he could
that was my introduction.
He could create worlds. Once Carl Jung figured this out, he could create worlds and his own team of beings and all kinds of stuff. And I don't want to say like play in this realm, because some of the things that he was having to do in these realms, or that he went through, really kind of happened to him, and also synchronistically would happen in this realm, in this physical realm. So it's a trip. The Red Book is an absolute trip, and it makes me think totally different about all this stuff.
It's a hard read.
It is a hard read, but there's a lot of people that, if you, how should I say this? There's another book that he has. So if you read the Red Book, you're going to be like, what the hell? This is crazy. You know, no wonder they didn't publish this book. It's wild. But then
it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. It's a hard read, but it's great.
But then you go on another journey, and like he's got a book called Memoirs and Dreams or whatever. So he really starts talking about the specific things, and you're like, oh, okay. So when I close my eyes and I go through that state of consciousness, that realm I'm tapping into, where science says it's just my brain, is in fact an internal realm full of all kinds of things, dream states, elementals that we've created. Imagine the kind of place that is, man. You got elementals where people are just creating thought forms by the crap that they think, which I'll get into with you in a second. You got entities that live in these realms. You got souls that have passed away. You've got layers and layers upon stuff. Not to mention, you can create your own realities with your mind. What the hell? You know, how do we traverse this place?
Slowly.
And I don't want to do it slowly. I'm like, where's this damn demon that I got to get past so I can get through it all? You know?
Oh, he'll show himself, as it's been said. More will be revealed.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
If you're looking for it, you'll find it. Seek and ye shall find, brother.
Every time I've ran into it, I've failed. Absolutely failed to get through. So, what do you do?
Say it's a failure, but actually it's just an experience. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Right now it's a failure because you're just chalking up experience. How many times does it take to, complete a composition? Or how many times does it take to get a perfect radio show together, right? That you might go through many failures, but they're really all just experiences until you get through it, It's like you could be playing a video game and all of a sudden you're meeting up the boss. That's the biggest, baddest, MF and whatever. And you got to beat him, right? So you can't beat him because you've never experienced this before, or you just haven't experienced it enough. So you don't know, it's always like, it's very slippery because every time his tactics are always changing and the experience is always different. It's not always the same, but it is the same because it's basically just your consciousness and your fear,
Damn,
and so if we
but does
sit
that
there
mean it's
and we
not
have
real though? It doesn't mean it's not real.
No, not at all. But you're saying it's a failure. I'm just not agreeing that it's a failure. I consider it just an experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of, you want to hear something really bizarre, and people could laugh at me, and that's just fine. There was, if anybody used to read the comic books, I know we have a lot of people of that age. But comic books were really big. And I got into this thing when I started reading the Uncanny X-Men. And Professor Xavier was like big in his mind and everything like that. And he had quite a few episodes where he was going into the ethereal state, you know, and he would do battle in there. And he said very plainly, you got to practice. You got to work out. You got to stretch your freaking head in order for you to deal in that realm. Because if you don't, they're going to eat you alive. You know, because you never know what you're up against. Because you could be bumping into other people's realms and you don't know what the heck they have set up there to protect themselves. You know, and you're just sitting there minding your own affairs. You know, and all of a sudden the boss man shows up and you're like, okay, what do I do now? So, right.
Huh.
So I started feeling that way. And this is why I was saying a while back that what I would do is sometimes I would try to imagine myself while in dream state as big as the universe. If I could completely encompass the universe, that's how big I want to go. So I've gotten to the point where I'm several galaxies wide, you know, and stuff like that. And I've seen some weird stuff. You know, I've seen beings that make our galaxy look like, you know, a dust pebble. But and they're just towering, and they're just standing among themselves. And you feel like, you know, as enlarged as you have become, you still feel like you're floating up the Twin Towers to reach their faces.
See, this is what upsets me, because now I feel like I can't even get past just the basic stuff, and here you are going on to other realms and other galaxies and so on. You know,
I've been doing this for years, man. 1986, brother.
Since 1986, you've been doing this? Since you've been traveling like that? Wow. So I must sound like a bumbling idiot to you.
No. No.
You know, thinking, well, he'll eventually get there. But everybody has their own experiences too. You know, it's like he's got this course on there he calls journeying, and that's what everybody's doing is journeying. And they all have their own experiences, but they all have certain, I guess, parallels of things that they run into as well. So I don't know.
Sure. You run into parallels. You run into slips. You'll run into time slips where you'll have completely different situation where everyone you know is who you believe they are, but they're under a different guise. You know what I mean? Like your father will be your brother and stuff like that.
Oh, hell.
But you'll recognize them. You'll know who they are.
Are you talking about you've visited other like lives where you've kind of like Monroe did, where everybody's playing a different character?
I've been there. I've dreamt it. I've dreamt it. It wasn't like I went there on purpose.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it was. See, that's the thing that I'm starting to understand. Like, you know, when science looks at, I guess you could say doctors or whatever, when they measure brain waves, whether you're dreaming or not, it all looks the same. The only thing is whatever that chemical is that keeps your body paralyzed, so you're not running around in your sleep, even though some people do.
Right.
So we just think, okay, because we're in this body, this is the real, and that's really not. And yet, it's kind of obvious. I've had some naysayers saying like, you know, you claim to be an expert in this and that. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I never have said, I don't recall, you know, like ever saying I'm an expert in a damn thing ever.
Right.
And I've always said that whatever. And they just want to naysay everything.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but this is not the program for them.
Yeah, so turn the channel. That's all I got to say. There's
That's
plenty of
it.
stuff out there to listen to.
There's always somebody for somebody.
Yeah, you could go to, there's plenty of science channels out there. Just hang out with those people. Get off of my Facebook feed. Unfriend me. Whatever you got to do. There's one thing I can't stand is a whiner. I sound like my father. Excuse my French. I'm starting to sound like my dad. That was his favorite phrase. One thing I can't stand is a damn whiner, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, why? So somebody commented on YouTube, I forget the name of the guy, and I'm sorry if I don't say your name right, but he said that we were talking about Whitley Strieber the other night, that he wrote a book, I think it was called War of Something, and I haven't read it, where Whitley was saying, based on his experience, that all of these things that we think, like we're living in a time that we're creating whatever our reality is going to be with our thoughts. So whatever things we're focused on, conspiracies, or we're slaves and all this, that it just keeps manifesting through this world in some form or fashion. And then when I read Dasuss's material, I find that to be true. So I don't think Whitley Strieber and Dasuss even know each other at all. I could be wrong, because I was wrong about Whitley. I didn't know he studied the Gurdjieff stuff. I didn't know that he'd been to the Monroe Institute. And this is the trippy thing, man, is these alien things keep showing up around, like they're on the outskirts of all this, behind the curtain, it seems. That's what freaks me out. Like, what if...
why so much?
Well, it's just a big what if here. What if this is whoa, I think you got a line that's kind of, one of your lines is bad or something. But what if we're sitting here contemplating over all this crap, and really it's just a freak show that these aliens are putting on for us, the physical and the unconscious realm. I think about that crap sometimes too, but maybe I shouldn't. But they show up. They're there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The noise on the side is my daughter is finally getting her hair done.
Oh, really? Okay. Because it's loud, dude. What do you mean?
Is it really?
Yeah. She got like a curling iron going on, or what is it?
Yeah, she's got a blow dryer.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's super loud. It's going. It's all right. I'll figure something out.
I feel like the realms are not there. It's so funny because you can tell there are times when people experience things. Okay, I know there are a lot of sensitives in the audience, and a lot of empathics are in the audience, and strange things happen, and we have no way of really understanding what the hell we're witnessing or what we're experiencing. We just know that it happened, something happened, and we can't make heads or tails of what it was. Most of the times it comes out of the side of your eye. And you're just perplexed, or you'll see shadow figures or whatever.
Is that like bleed through, though? Could it be bleed through from that realm?
Well, the thing is that the realms are held together with a paper-thin mesh. It's not like, it's not like these walls between the dimensions are really super thick. They're not. I mean, it's just like you can open up, portals are just as close as your next mirror. And it's just a matter of being open to the fact that these things are possible. So if you're open to the fact that these things are possible, more experiences are likely to occur.
Well, what I want to find out is from you.
If you're skeptical about it and you're constantly questioning on it, then chances are you're not going to experience much, and you're going to wonder why it never happens to me.
Yeah, right. But what I want to find out is what, and we can talk about this here after the segment, I guess, but I want to find out, at some point you went through the beginning stages of this stuff like I did, or that I am.
Sure.
And you crossed somewhere. And you may have already talked about it, but I want to go over that again, so maybe I can get like an idea of what I need to do, because everybody's got this opinion. Oh, you weren't ready, or you just weren't ready. Oh, I mean, you weren't ready. Wow. Thanks. I don't know. That doesn't really help me just by saying you weren't ready, because I can't lay down and go, okay, I'm ready. You know? So maybe there was something I'm missing, you know? But anyways, no. I guess I'm perplexed by it. It is a perplexing conversation, because it feels like you're going in circles, or at least it does for me, and you're not getting anywhere. And,
and that's exactly what society is being designed to experience. Because for the longest time, all we've been given are distractions. So we hardly have any time for ourselves. We're too busy taking care of the bills, the kids, the cars, you name it. Got to get food on the table, this and that. Or Cheech and Chong came out with a great movie, so I got to go see it,
I would definitely see that.
The Super Bowl is coming on in a couple of weeks, stuff like that. But, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just we don't give ourselves enough time to be with ourselves. So that in and of itself reduces the amount of time that we actually allow for experiences to keep developing within ourselves as we continue to try to grow and try to understand what it is we're trying to be here on this planet. All the questions that we have. Why am I here? And this and that.
Cynthia and over on Spreaker says, I love when Dan is on. I do too. You guys got to know that, like, every night, doesn't really matter if I have a guest or not. It's either Ryan or Dan. I'm usually bugging. I haven't bugged Eric because if I was living in a perfect world, I'd have this studio and all of you would physically be here, kind of like the Consciousness Explorers show, but Howard Stern like. But you would be Robin, or would I be Robin? In male form. Anyways, that in a perfect world, that's the way it'd be, but it's not perfect. If you can, send out your love to Eric, guys. We're talking about crossing the threshold, the underworld, I guess, the demons or whatever they are on the threshold, that horror that you face whenever you're exploring this stuff.
Oh, that's what we're talking about.
That's
okay.
Exactly what we're
and we'll talk more about that after these messages.
Yeah, right.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to The Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on The Fringe FM.
From Studio 303, it's the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on The Fringe FM, bringing light to the stories that surround us. A viral video of a South American man barking like a dog after allegedly being bit by a canine infected with rabies has sparked a heated debate on African social media. The video went viral after being shared by Instagram influencer and entertainer Tundi Ednut. In it, a young man wearing an oxygen mask lying on a hospital stretcher can be heard barking incessantly. The man holding the camera states that he is filming a beast like you've never seen before, with permission of the patient's father, adding that the barking is caused by the rabies virus. The young patient had allegedly been bit by a rabid dog around 2 weeks before, and despite getting the anti-rabies virus, he stopped talking and started barking instead. The narrator of the video claims that the patients exhibited other bizarre symptoms associated with rabies, like foaming of the mouth. This story was posted at odditycentral.com. And a 7-foot-tall insect was spotted in Illinois. A man in Madison County in St. Jacob, Illinois, says he saw a 7-foot-tall stick insect. The anonymous man said that he was driving home on the highway when he purported the creature that showed up at 3 a.m. He's quoted as saying, "An object appeared in my headlights on the right side, crossing the highway, looking like a giant walking stick with 4 legs. Its head turned as it ran and looked at me just before going out of the lighted view." This is what he wrote and provided a sketch to MUFON. The eyewitness claims that the insect was about 7 feet tall. Its length, he added, was purportedly about the same. It was redwood and moved approximately in 1 second or less across the whole lighted area of my headlights. He said that it had 4 legs and appeared to be slightly elevated off the ground. Giant insects are of interest to cryptozoologists, as some believe that members of the supposedly extinct genus from the Carboniferous period could still be alive. The story's posted at cryptozoologynews.com. And a Washington state man says he saw a Bigfoot creature. The Lewis County resident says he was using a game call when the bipedal creature showed up. He's quoted as saying, "I was using my car as a blind. I tried not to move sitting in my car." The eyewitness said to the BFRO about the recently reported sighting, which apparently took place in November of 2013, at around 11 a.m. Reportedly, the man was looking at the rearview mirror when the cryptid came out behind a tree. Quote, "I saw a Sasquatch peek about 60 feet away." He says the creature watched him for about 30 seconds, then walked to a different tree. Quote, "I don't think he could see me well because of the black tinted window and shady light." The Washington man says that he couldn't even see the being's face. He is still able to recall other physical features. It kept its arms at its side when it walked. It must have been about 6 feet tall, black hair, and walked on 2 legs. This story, too, was reported at cryptozoologynews.com. And now for this edition's fun fact. There is a village in southern Norway actually named Hell. And get this, every winter it freezes over. And that wraps it up for another edition of the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM. I'm Vance Nesbitt, anchor and news sorcerer.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Tonight we were going to have Jason Augustus Newcomb on. We were going to talk about the new hermetics and his system of hermetics. He just messaged me and something emergency came up, just like I thought it did. So we're going to reschedule. We're going to have him back on. And so we decided to go down the road of crossing the threshold. I guess what astral travelers or occultists or anybody that explores consciousness, they get into these moments of extreme horror when they meet these beings. Some of you have heard it as called like sleep paralysis, but I'm not specifically talking about sleep paralysis per se. I mean, it could be anything, but it seems like there's always something there. And Dan, something there that scares the hell out of him, not just, basic fear. And Dan Lopez has joined us in the second part of the show, who, by the way, is an avid traveler of consciousness, astral traveler, whatever you want to call it. But what I want to know... A head case. Yeah, there you go. But before we get into this, I want to say, make sure if you're listening live that this stuff continues all night. After the show, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable is going to be on. And tomorrow night, we're going to have the girls from Love, Sex, and the Hidden Agenda. They're going to talk about the hidden agenda behind all of this stuff. And Amalia Eon Karis and Satya Ra Priest will be on the show. So you'll probably want to check that out because it's going to be interesting. It's not going to be what you think. I think they're going to surprise you. But Dan has got to go to all these places in these inner realms that I want to go to. And what I'm trying to figure out, and I guess I'm getting redundant with the questions here, Dan, but I'm trying to figure out how you broke through. What happened when you broke through the stuff that I'm going through? Or I might have got out of body a little bit, or I might have had the buzzing feeling, or maybe I was caught between a dream and astral travel. Not real sure too. Okay, I'm going places now. Something you went through, you broke that threshold somehow.
I got more into imagination. There was a book that came out a long time ago called Creative Visualization by Shakti Gowaying, something like that. Mm. And so I read that book, and I had read a ton of other books as well as the Edgar Cayce stuff. Edgar Cayce was huge on the imaginative forces, and he was saying that, a lot of things that you think of and everything like that, that's all real. He's like, there's real unicorns, there's real minotaurs, there's real cyclops and stuff like that, and all that stuff really exists somewhere. And that kind of hit me, and I was like, well, I always did have a heck of an imagination, so I just rolled with it, I just rolled with it. And the more I rolled with it, the more things just started happening. Let's put it that way. You know what was weird, though? I will confess to this. It did seem that the more that I felt like I was in control, or I was, calm, cool, and collected, and whatever, in my normal state, the less things would happen in my dream state or in my meditative state. The less that I would be able to do, also, because what I would try to do sometimes is go into these forums where people are talking about things, and I would try to reach out. I would not try to invade their space, but I would try to see if I could imagine what they are, who they are, where they are, and their surroundings, just for fun, just to see what was going on. So for a while there, and this is before I heard of Monroe, I would do it, and I would go there. And there was this one psychic who was in the forums. I think, who was I hanging out with? Kelly, this Kelly lady from Texas. So it was one of her forums. So one of the ladies who was also sensitive was saying that somebody was missing. So as she was saying that someone was missing, and if anybody can get a feel or a read on what's going on, please let her know. So I went and I was like, all right, I'll take a couple of minutes. So I took a couple of minutes. I sat aside and I just closed my eyes and tried to go into my state. So I was there, just getting, fragments, little bits of streets or buildings or whatever, small 1-floor level things. And all of a sudden this one building showed up, but it kind of lingered there, and it had 2 white pillars, and it was a brick building where most of the other buildings were not. And I don't know what possessed me, but all of a sudden I just started looking around online, after I came out of state, and sure enough, I found the representation. I don't know if I found it on Google Images or where I found it, but I found an image, and I posted the image in the thing, and I responded to this lady, and I said, I got to tell you, I feel like she's here. She's just hanging out. She's not, she's not in any trouble or anything. She's just holding up, hiding away.
Physically here or hiding somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So not passed away. When you say she's here, she didn't die or anything, right?
Right. No.
Okay.
No. So I didn't expect a response or anything like that. And about a half an hour later, she responds. She's like, I know exactly where that place is. I'm like, really?
Okay.
Because I don't have a clue where that is. And she's in Australia.
Damn, that's cool, man. So you took what you had learned, I guess, from what Casey was teaching you and applied it, and it worked.
Yeah. There's another book also called The Alpha Mind, or The Power of Alpha Thinking. And it's by Jess Stern. It's an excellent read. If you want to work on practicing how to go into state, it's an excellent book. And it also allows you to use hemisync and stuff like that in order to achieve your state. So that's when I started getting into binaural beats and all of that stuff.
So what you're saying is for the people that are traveling, that are either getting stuck, that's kind of remote viewing type stuff. But I mean, when I say getting stuck or paralyzed, or they're barely getting out of their bodies, or they had one experience and they can't seem to get back there, that if they could learn to tap into the power of the imagination, they would be able to go further, which is something.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just about letting go, because the more that we want to have control in certain areas, in certain states, the less control we seem to have. The more we seem to just go with the flow, like whatever, dude. It's just you wind up getting out of it.
Well, that makes sense to me, because basically from what Gordon is saying, because as soon as we have something happens in our imagination, or we get a visual or something, we tell ourselves, well, that's not the same experience. That's what's in my imagination. That's not the experience I had, so that can't be real. So don't go there. So I think we kind of stop ourselves from letting go on that. I know I do. So that makes total sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to be able to do it, I guess. So let me just give you an example, right? So say that I'm laying down, I'm going through this guided experience, and I start having the vibrations,
images.
Right? The vibrations, and I feel like I'm going to come out of the body or whatever. But I'm also falling into a dream. And I'm like, damn, I don't want to fall into a dream. So now I'm going back and forth, right? I don't want to fall into a dream. I want to have that out of body experience I had. Don't want to fall into a dream. Are you saying whatever those visuals, you can't be saying that, right? Like whatever those things are, to give in to them, or is it all about control? It's perplexing. I know I'm not trying to confuse you, but that's the states that I've been in.
But the thing is that you have to practice, and I do mean practice. I mean like daily, because it's really easy and it's very seductive, to go and relax, and you finally got every muscle in your body and every bone in your head and your neck and your chest, and everything is all like blah, right? You're like so relaxed. You're sinking in the bed, and it's like, how do you not fall asleep? So it's like, if you got to practice, because a lot of times what they say is, well, if you're going to fall asleep, just let it go.
They do say
because you're meant to fall asleep. Yeah.
Well, nobody wants to hear that, man. They don't want to hear they got to practice. That's too hard.
That's too bad.
Yeah, so I get it. And so have you been able to do this here lately? I know you've been going through some health issues and stuff, but have you stopped doing this, or do you still do it the way can you still
lately
do the things?
It's been lately it's just been a bit of just experiencing weird things, and that's because of my emotional state, because of what's been going on health-wise, which has compromised a lot of quality of life stuff. So the practice now has really been working on my faith and just rebuilding it. That's really where my head has been. That's my headspace. Getting back into prayers and doing the usual, trying to have a routine where, I wake up in the morning with prayer and I go to bed with prayer. I found out if I wake up in the morning with prayer, 9 times out of 10, I'll go to bed with prayer. And basically it's just saying thank you for another day. And then at night, it's just like, thank you for another day, and that's it.
See, this is where I struggle with the faith thing. I guess it's another thing I struggle with, of course. Not faith that there's a creator, but faith in the God that I used to worship when I was a kid. Right. So now when I read books about sacrifice and killing of children, and I'm jealous if you don't worship other people besides, if you worship other gods besides me and all of this stuff, I'm thinking, well, boy, if this God, even if it is real, I don't want to worship a God like that, But a lot of that stuff is in Leviticus, And
no, it's scattered throughout the.
Yeah, but Leviticus, it's real bad. You read that book and like, damn.
Yeah, it's bad in Leviticus. But it's scattered throughout that book, yeah.
So when you say faith, is it a faith in that, or is it a faith in something that you understand that's different?
You just nailed it. It's a faith in what you understand, what you have come to believe. Because it's different for everyone, and that's okay. It doesn't mean nothing. For me, after having experienced and talks, conversations with all of these people like Kelly and Teal and George, forget about it. You don't know which way you're going, and it's just like what is God? I thought I knew what it was. Blah 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 blah. But I'll tell you, when I got clean, I just took it real simple. I only knew one prayer when I was getting clean, so I just prayed that one prayer. And so from then on, it just, you build up a little library over time, but you come to understand and have a relationship with that, which you come to understand. You make it your own. Make it your own. Make it something that nobody can take away from you. You know what I mean? Because if somebody can take it away from you, then it ain't real. And so lately it's been like, I'm just shutting off everything that I've come to understand. And the God of my understanding is the God that I knew when I was getting clean. As soon as I was getting clean, I figured that was it. He's completely fallible, makes mistakes. He's a knucklehead like me. He just knows a lot more, and he does it on a lot grander scale and all kinds of fun stuff. He's neither male or female. He's, culmination of both and whatever else. And I'm okay with that.
Doesn't it seem like you're just making up a convenient God, though? To me, like, it's more convenient for me. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
What do you want? You want somebody else to dictate your God to you? Or would you rather be in control? Here's the whole thing. That's been the whole thing from the beginning. The gatekeepers, the priests, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, they all freaking want to be the gatekeeper. They want to hold the key between you and God. And who the hell are they to take that kind of authority? Nobody. You and your God is a very personal thing between you and yourself. And that's it. Whether you believe in my God or not, I have no control over that. I have to take care of my own.
That makes more sense to me that way. Absolutely. So the understanding of when these people talk about angels or aliens and aliens are angels, from your understanding and your experience, are they angels or are they aliens? Are they both?
Whatever their experience, they have their experience, and I can only put together as much as I understand them as a person from their past and everything, like their experiences and everything, and try to come to some conclusion based off of that, because they're completely different. Had I grow up like them, had I experienced everything like them, perhaps I'd have the same experiences and consider angels and aliens just like they would, But
it's been a long time since I picked up an Edgar Cayce book, but I was fascinated by the stuff that he taught. The remote viewing exercises, all of that. That was pretty cool. That was something that I could get into. Oh, you were earlier. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a book called The Power of Paradox, and that'll you want to have a trip, you want to go places, you can go places with that book. The Power of Paradox.
Earlier you were talking about
Mark Thurston, but go ahead.
What's the author's name again? Sorry.
Mark Thurston.
Okay. Earlier you were talking about these forums that you were going on. And was this back when the internet first came out? Like, how long ago was that?
Yeah, this was like 2010.
Is that where all the cool stuff happens on the internet is forums, even to this day? To me, forums are awfully boring, but if you read the conversations there, that's where all the good stuff is, isn't it?
Well, until you get these people who do nothing but post pictures and say, "What do you see?" Shut up. Leave me alone.
Right. Yeah.
Go spend the dime and have somebody read it for you. God.
So maybe we're just going too fast here. Maybe we need to just practice more. Or spend a day or, I find that 3 a.m. and there's got to be something to this 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. thing. There has to be. I don't know if it's because we all think that that's the witching hour or whatever, and that's what's causing it. But the weirdest things that have happened to me have been at that hour.
Well, the majority of society in your area, in your region, around that time, is in sleep state. And I'm saying the majority, not everybody, but the majority. Okay. So, of course, it's going to be a much calmer time environmentally for spirit activity to do work.
That's a freaky thought. It really is, because some of these books I've picked up on magic and whatever, they say, make sure you do this love spell with this string or whatever. Make sure it's 3 a.m. when everybody's asleep. And I'm like, whoa. That's a freaky thought to think while everybody's passed out and asleep, which is only a couple hours from now. So the people hanging out with us are the cool people, right? But anyways, the rest of the world is sleeping. And that's when all of the crazy stuff happens. That's when the people do their spells or whatever. And this is why we always talked about psychic protection, and everybody I've ever had on, and I want to know your real stance on it, that talked about these things, said, look, if you're going to get into this stuff at all, it doesn't matter if you're doing Franz Barden or Golden Dawn or whatever it is, you need to learn protection before you even go down this road. Would you agree with that?
Wholeheartedly. And I might catch wreck for that, and that's okay. It's just for me. As I learned a long time ago what you don't see can hurt you.
Yeah, that's true. Or at least you don't perceive that it hurts you anyways, right?
It can hurt you. You know, the funny question, the funny subject was back in the forum days was like, yeah, you can get pushed by these things, but if they push you further than 20 feet, then it's really in trouble.
Man, I get more crap from that, from people. Believe it or not, from the skeptics, I get more crap about the psychic protection and, however you do it. I believe in it too, and I promote a lot of it because of the experience I had with a listener that was a friend of mine that went, and I've told you the story. It was a girl.
Yes.
I've been freaked out ever since then, and that's why I push it. I think people should do it. You could do it.
I don't have a problem with people jumping in, just jumping in and seeing what it's like and self-experimenting and stuff like that. And that's all fine. But if you haven't heard of protection and you're listening to this program, definitely think about it. At least think about it. Because it was, I went to Parafest in 2014, I think it was. And that couple that used to do all the EVPs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I got to talk to her, at length. And we were talking about the jinn and all kinds of crap that was going on at her house and everything like that. And I asked them if they were doing protection before they would go into these places to get the readings because, you could be bringing home attachments and you can catch herpes with that shit. It's like, pardon my French.
That's okay.
But, and it boggled my mind that she was like, no, we don't believe in that. I'm like, how could you not believe in that? You're coming home and your dog is freaking mangled. You don't know what's going on. What do you mean you don't know what's going on? You're going out like every day, and you're dealing with spirits of all different natures, and you're dealing in different environments all the time, and you're not one bit concerned about protection.
You make a good point. You do. You make a good point about that. I'm glad you got my back on that. I swear I catch more hell from people that want to make me out to be some kind of a woo-woo guy because I talk about psychic protection and psychic attack. But I'm glad that the Rev Dan Lopez has got my back. This is the last break. We've got a few minutes left here in the show. I'm Joe Roop. I'm here with Dan Lopez. We're talking about the threshold, how to break through the threshold when you're traveling or going into the underworld, I guess, if you want to call it. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
This is Elle. I listen to Lighting the Void because it's interactive radio with good content, interesting guests, and a humble host, sharing his journey through the esoteric. Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for having us along for the ride.
Thank you so much. What a delightful evening.
Well, I got a lot of ground to cover.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
All right, everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, me old China plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Lighting the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is Vance Nesbitt. Take the time to expand your mind by listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop right here on The Fringe FM.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM.
I like to listen to Lighting the Void because of the guests, the content, and the host, Joe Roop. He's smart, he's intelligent, and he seems to ask the questions that we all have on our mind. We're all searching for the truth, and Joe helps us get closer to it. I love this show. I love this show. I love this show. Lighting the Void.
Lighting the Void is proud to announce Mind and Magic's Protection and Defense Course for protection from magical and psychic attacks. This is not a joke. Magic practitioners are on the rise, and with that comes attacks from baneful or black magicians that try to harm or hurt others for their own selfish reasons. If you are not a believer in psychic attacks, then this isn't for you. If you are, and you want the power to defend yourself and your family and home, then I highly suggest you grab Freighter Xavier's Protection and Defense Course. In this course, you will learn how to tell if you are under attack from a natural source or if an individual is attacking you, the 4 forms of curses and attacks, how to remove self-imposed curses, the correct way to cleanse your home from negativity or malevolent entities, how to make your own holy water, what you should always keep near or under your bed, herbs that banish negativity and promote purity, the most powerful banishing rituals on the planet, and for those that seem to want to harm you the most, how to put your enemies in a hell pit of their own making. You can also learn protection against shadow people and other entities. Or are you just in a bad planetary alignment? Even how to get rid of an enemy using a tic-tac box. It does not matter what your faith or belief is, this will work. Click the banner on the website at lightingthevoid.com or go to lightingthevoid.com/Xavier.
Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Crossing the threshold and facing the real fears is what we're talking about. When I say threshold, I don't mean the one that's at your doorstep when you walk outside. I mean the threshold that is there that keeps us from experiencing things or traveling in the astral realms that we want to go to, that we only hear about, but we never get to go there. And that's what we've been talking about tonight. I do see some of your emails, although I got to tell you guys that they're not related to what we're talking about. I know you want me to read it, but it's really not related to the conversation. However, I will read it later. Speaking of which, you can contact the show if you want by text. It's 501-777-5631. You can also email at contact@lightingthevoid.com. I kind of got too deep into the conversation to answer your phone calls. But again, Jason Augustus Newcomb was supposed to be on tonight if you guys are listening for that. I'll tell you real quick the reason why I wanted to have him on, and we've rescheduled it. And the reason why I wanted to have him on the show is because we talked an awful lot about the occult and magic on the show, almost too much, I think, sometimes. And it's confusing because there's all these different systems of initiation, the Golden Dawn system or Franz Barton system or Aleister Crowley's AA. And what Jason had actually developed was something that could help you along all of this stuff. So he kind of puts it all together and has a new system, and I wanted to talk to him about that. So we've rescheduled, or we're working on rescheduling that for you, so he will come on the show. But right now, the conversation has led us into crossing the threshold, facing real fears and horrors, and it's been a minute, but the Rev Dan Lopez is back on the show with us, and it's been kind of interesting. He's been going into the Edgar Cayce stuff, and as well as the experiences he's had with remote viewing and other things, which I got to say I'm real impressed with. And how did you feel, I wonder, when you made that, I guess that psychic prediction with the stuff that you saw and the images you saw, and it was correct? Because I got to, that would be something really cool to be able to do for the first time. Did it make you feel like you had to, were you shocked about it?
Initially, but I've been keeping it. I try to keep but it may not always show, but I've been trying to keep a downplayed ego. I try to squash when it wants to go and like say, "Oh, look at what I did," or whatever. And I usually just give the credit where the credit's due. The higher power that I prayed to, or whatever, I let it work through me. That was a huge thing for me in doing all this work, because there is a method or a prayer in there that says, I turn my will and my life over to the care of God and my understanding. And then it goes on and on to do with me as he will, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And you're free to take your will back at any moment, at any time. And this is where that faith comes in, where if a lot of people have a problem with it. And this is where, you hear all of these conversations that are going on, and all these people are talking about God and their understanding. And you can get very lost and confused of how your relationship with your higher power is, and lose faith completely. So in order to feel like it's safe for you to turn your will and your life over, it's like, face it, I'm not really good with my will. I have been clean since 1986, right? So before that, I was a drug addict and an alcoholic, right? But like a retarded one.
Well, can I ask you?
It was all cool. So
I don't want to get too personal here,
my brain is normally bad when it comes to taking care of my will. So I don't know what my will is. So what's wrong with me turning my will and my life over to the care of God of my understanding?
Yeah. And we talked about what that was, the God of your understanding. And that's something, at first I'm thinking, I hear that. And I was thinking, well, that's just kind of a God of your convenience. But it's really not. The way you explained it that really hit home. So I appreciate that. But I don't want to get too personal for you here, but I know that there's people struggling with addictions of certain types. Do you mind talking about some of that stuff, like what you were struggling with, the types of things that you were addicted to that you got clean from? Because that's pretty impressive, man. It's not an easy thing to do.
What kind of thing? Let's see.
Everything, maybe.
What was your drug of choice? More. More was my drug of choice. You got some? You got some more? Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, well, the reason why I ask is a lot of people they're struggling with opiate addiction, and you get on the internet and you think, God, man, this is horrible. This is the most brutal thing anybody could go through. But you can get out of it. You can make it through it. You can do it. But you don't see that on the internet. You see everybody's horror stories. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that, one thing that people need to understand is that, you can't just flip a switch and like turn it off. It doesn't work that way. I mean, for some people, I've actually witnessed some people actually turn around and just say, I'm going to stop, and boom, they stopped. I mean, that was just in their nature to be able to do so. And God bless them for being able to do so. But 9 out of 10 people can't do that. They can't do that. And then they wonder why, they get started and they're in there and they're trying to do their best and they're struggling from day to day, especially in the beginning and everything like that for that first year to the first 5 years. And they're wondering, when is this, feeling going to go away? It's like eventually, you didn't just become an active freaking addict or whatever
overnight. You took quite a while to get there. So give yourself some time. Give yourself a break. It's you didn't, like I said, you didn't get there overnight. So take it easy.
Yeah, take it easy on yourself. That's it. Yeah, I get that.
Keep it simple.
I've went through that too. I talked about that on the show before, the opiate addiction thing, and all I ever hear is about how hard it is. And I'll tell you, it was besides defeating anxiety, where I had panic disorder all the time, which really, that was the one time that guy said Satan had me, and he didn't even know what the hell he was talking about, or didn't know that he was saying it. That was hard to beat. But I got to say, the opiate thing was probably the hardest thing ever in my life. But it's a character test, right? And you want to talk about freaky dreams, man. Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I don't get into the details of the process of that, but if you can imagine like having the worst flu and worst depression you've ever had, and I'm not trying to make this worse on anybody, but I'm not that strong of a person. It's just I had a strong will that I didn't want to do it anymore, So if you have like the flu and turkey skin and diarrhea, not to mention severe depression, and your bones, man, like when you try to get up and move around, you can't move around, you can't walk, you can't even get out of bed, and then it just gets worse and worse, and you're flopping around like a fish, and you got what the hell is that stuff? Restless leg, you can't sleep. And about the fifth day, you're just laying in a bathtub going, God, make this end, and in the back of your mind tells you, all I got to do is take a little piece of a pill or whatever, and this will go away. There's a hell of a demon there taunting you the whole time.
Sure.
And it is brutal, man. And, if you don't make it through that, or you backslide, or you end up having to go through that stuff like 5 or 6 times, I think when you say cut yourself some slack, I think that's totally real. I don't know how we got on the subject, but I think it's important because that's where a lot of people give up, because they're like, man, I've tried this, man, 5 or 6 times. And they give up,
Yeah.
And they beat themselves up mentally, like they're less of a person because of it. And a lot of people get into this stuff. The way I got into it, it wasn't because, I like to do drugs, or so to speak. It was, I was managing a bar, and it's a real stressful environment, especially a bar that's super busy, and you got 3 lines of people yelling at you for drinks. And, people at bars, if they like you, man, they tend to just slide you stuff. They'll slide things to you, right? They'll be like, here, take that, man, or take this. And I remember the first guy that I was like, man, my tooth is killing me, and I didn't have the money to go to the dentist, and he was like, here, and I take these for my back, and just slid me a few like Norcos, those little, I guess, green ones or whatever, or yellowish, limeish, greenish looking, whatever the hell they were at the time. I didn't know. I took a couple of them, and I made like $600 that night. Worked 5 hours, busted my butt. I was in the best mood I was ever in my life. Felt no pain. Made a ton of money, and I'm thinking, damn, I take drugs. Not only am I in the best mood I've ever been in my life, but I'm making tons of money. How in the hell?
Must be something to this.
Yeah, you got any more of them things? Yeah, man. Yeah, I got some more. And then the next thing you know is you're at your buddy's house going, listen, man, I need more blankets and less blankets. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Well, I don't know what's wrong with me. Oh, yeah, you're just going through withdrawals. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm a junkie now. That happens to a lot of people, whether they want to admit it or not. There's so many people hiding it, they don't want to admit it. But
and it happens just like that.
Yeah, and they think they're less of a person because of it. And you're not. Like, I even had to go to one of these methadone clinics once, and those things are, if anything in the world makes you feel like less of a person, it's one of those places. Not to say that they're bad, but when you walk in, there's 2 lines. There's a line where people are taking Subutex or Suboxone, which is another medicine that I had to take and wean myself off of. So no, I didn't quit cold turkey, if anybody's wondering about that. And then another line of people that are having to take doses of methadone. Here's the funny thing about that. The people that are taking methadone, they looked like they were having a hard time in their life. And then the people over here in the Subutex or Suboxone line, they looked like they were just normal people. I talked to preachers, doctors, lawyers, you name it, in this line over here. And then you had to talk to, you had to talk to, I guess one of those counselors or whatever, pay the man and get your drugs. But you know what was weird about those clinics is they weren't trying to get you off the stuff. In fact, the guy in the back would tell you, you may have to take this the rest of your life. Oh, Frank over here has been taking 2 milligrams for how many years, Frank? Oh, about 5. And this kid looks like he's ready to kill himself, He's weaned himself down to 2 milligrams and he's going through hell. And this guy's telling him, why are you weaning yourself down unless you want to quit? And this guy's telling him, you're probably going to have to take this stuff the rest of your life. You're going to have to depend on it. So you're subject to this. And you just go through all this psychological crap and you don't want to tell your family. And you eventually end up telling everybody because you get in desperate situations. Or you turn into what I've seen other people do is they just start stealing crap, because they're too ashamed.
Talk about demons and fears.
Yeah, they're too ashamed to tell anybody. It's not because they're just too ashamed to reach out for help from family and friends. They don't want the judgment. So I'll just go steal something. That'll work, Yeah. And if there really is such thing as a demon, like demons that we deal with that are on the other side of this threshold, I got to tell you, that's got to be one of them, man. It's got to be, but I did make it through it. And,
thank God.
And I'm not that strong of a person. I was just done with it. And I think that's what matters. Like when you're done with it, you'll tell yourself, okay, I'm going to wean myself down. Boss Rutan has, if you guys want to look up, okay, if you're really having problems with this stuff and you want to look up a story that'll inspire you, Boss Rutan was on Joey Diaz's podcast and he talked about, and this is a man I looked up to. He's an MMA fighter. He wasn't really a drug addict, but he got hooked on this stuff. He ended up having to take Suboxone and all of this stuff. And he talks about his whole story and what he went through to get off of it. And, it was a nightmare for him, but he got through it. And then you got other people that are having to take, I hear like Xanaxes and benzos are worse. And most people, man, they don't really do this to get hooked on it, or they're not planning on being stuck on this medicine. But I just don't think the doctors know what the hell they're doing sometimes when they do this. It's like sitting in the doctor's office, Dan, looking at the TV and it's saying, please don't stop your medication because you might go into withdrawals. I've been to the doctor, I don't know how many times since I was a kid, looking at those little screens, and I don't ever remember seeing that up there. So it's like, what's the Truman Show? If you want to get all conspiratorial about it, We got them all zombied out now, don't we? Mm-hmm. And they're beating themselves up. They all think they're all pieces of crap. That's even better. But anyways, I don't know how I got on that subject. I guess it's just because it's something that I've struggled with.
Touched home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know other people are going through it, man, and it's, I would say, look, if you can't do it, fight a cop or something and go to jail if you want to get cut, because they'll make sure that you can't do anything there unless somebody sneaks it. No, don't do that. But I've heard
don't do that.
Don't do that.
They will do that.
Yeah, but I've heard some horror stories about people going to jail.
Just as easy to get inside. Yeah, well.
Oh, you want a cigarette? No, you're not having a cigarette. Oh, I'm sorry. You got medication? No, you're just gonna have to flop over there. But yeah, I'm interested in this stuff, so I'm gonna do what you said. I'm gonna take your advice, and I hope some other people will too. And
I didn't give no advice, though. Listen, everybody, I didn't give no advice.
You gave advice about using the imagination. I'm not talking about drugs here. That's not going to hurt anybody.
Suggestion. That was just a suggestion.
I should have talked about what I meant by that. Everybody's like, oh, well, I'll just go on every drug Dan did, and then I'll figure out how to do all this stuff. Yeah.
No,
No. But
no.
But yeah, it is good to have you back on the show, man. I know that you got that condition sometimes, and to be honest with you, man, it scares me because you're a good friend, and I don't know what the hell's going on half the time. And
scares me too.
I'm sure it does, man.
What the hell? I was doing fine.
Yeah. But that ought to say something, man. Like, these doctors, they don't really, well, I don't want to get on that kick, but
don't get on that kick.
But you understand, like, when I started talking at the beginning of the show about magic, I feel like I need to pull back the throttle a little bit on this thing because I don't want people taking a nosedive into this stuff and something crazy ends up happening to them.
Yeah, well, you got to keep it. You got to keep it simple because a lot of things is just. This is just a lot of reading. There's a lot of understanding. I mean, a lot of it is practice. It's a lot of personal, hands-on, legitimately daily practice and getting yourself comfortable with the whole ritual and everything like that and coming to understand the environment that you're actually about to navigate. And you have books and you're reading the books and you're reading the information or you're listening to it on audio or whatever. And you're taking it slow, man. Take it slow. Let it sink in. Don't just read it once. Read it over and over and over again. Because if you read it over and over and over again, I guarantee you things are going to pop out that you didn't see the first time you read it. And you're going to come to a conclusion or you're going to come to an epiphany or an awakening that you wouldn't have if you just ran through it once and just decided to go whole hog after, reading a couple of chapters. So do yourself a favor. If you're going to get into it with, with passion and whatever, but read it over and over and over again because the only way it's going to stick is if you read it over and over and over again.
Now, before we get out of here, I want to ask you, and all your encounters in these dream worlds and astral realms and all of this, did you ever encounter what you would consider to be an ET or an alien being ever?
Yeah, it turned out to be an Asian ex-girlfriend of mine, though.
I don't think we got enough time to, well, what do you mean by that? I got to know.
I'm kidding.
Oh, you scared me, man. I was thinking this is going to be good, So that's a no. You never ran into anything considered to be an ET or whatnot.
I can't say that. I sent you a chat that I had documented, and I don't know what to make of it. I've sent it to a few people. People give me different kinds of rebound answers. Some are rhetorical and some are personal, but the story is quite interesting. And it has to do with a rogue reptilian, an elemental, and a woman who was married to Mr. X. For if you know ufology, then you know Mr. X. Well, she was Miss X. And that whole thing that went down over in Dayton, Ohio. And it was quite interesting. I reached out, and they acted like I was already in part of the inner circle. So they thought I had already knew what the story was. And then they found out that I didn't. And then they proceeded to tell me what the story was. And I was like, oh, shit.
Well, we'll have to talk about that again. That's interesting. Yeah, but we got to get out of here. Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's been a blast tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You guys don't forget as well, tomorrow night we're going to have Amalia Young Karras and Satya Ra Priest from the Love, Sex, and the Hidden Agenda podcast, and it's going to be all about the sexual energies and what they're hiding from us about this stuff and some of these parasitic beings in the astral realm. So that's going to kind of be it's a left turn, but it's still in the same area. And before we get out of here, I want to tell you guys that to please, if you know Eric Markham, just send him a message, a wink, a text, whatever you got. tell him you love him, because he just lost his mother tonight, our partner on the network and manager of the network. And when we get out of here, I have to always say that this show was produced by the Fringe FM and cannot be re-syndicated without written permission. Music was by Chronox, DJ Trashy, Kevin McLeod, and Space Station. Guitar Man was by Bundy. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night.
And opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised. We told you weeknights on the Fringe FM are now even better. And we mean it.
Do it live!
Where else can you hear the best shows and the best talent? Kick off your evening with our newest host, Alex Exum, live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Hang out with me, Joe Roop, on Lighting the Void at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. Ryan Gable expands your mind on the secret teachings at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. We're bringing the heat every single night. Fire it up, the Fringe FM.
Yahoy there. This is Gigi from Shift Happens. And holy shit, you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Hey, don't you dare